M5D UFO Files. Unraveling the UFO Files. Revelations that change everything.
The views and opinions expressed by individuals in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the broadcaster or its parent company or affiliates.
What if everything you thought you knew about life on Earth and, beyond? What if that was just a fraction of the truth? A tiny glimpse?
Exactly.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into some really extraordinary accounts of alleged alien encounters. And not just one type either.
No, it's quite a spectrum we're looking at.
Yeah, from surprisingly formal military interactions to these, deeply unsettling covert influences.
And we're drawing from firsthand testimonies, some pretty rigorous investigations, even looking at how culture reflects these ideas through media.
Right. Our mission today is really to unpack these complex narratives, try to separate the different threads of information, and help you, our listener, navigate these accounts.
See what they might mean for how we perceive reality, without just drowning you in data overload.
It's a journey that, honestly, really challenges our conventional understanding, pushes the boundaries of what we're told is possible.
These are experiences that could redefine our perception of life itself.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We're starting with a truly wild first-hand account from Charles James Hall.
Yes, Hall, his Millennial Hospitality series.
Exactly. So his background: U.S. Air Force, 1965 to 67, stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. He was a range weather observer.
And then later he got advanced degrees, nuclear physics, thermal physics, quite the resume.
For sure. And his reason for sharing all this: he wanted his own kids and grandkids to understand what it felt like to interact with the beings he says he met.
And what's really striking is that Hall wasn't just, checking wind speeds. He claims he stumbled upon, or maybe was led to, a secret alien base.
Right, tucked away in the mountains there on the Nellis Gunnery Ranges, Area 54 he called it, with living quarters in Area 53.
The whole complex he nicknamed Dreamland.
And the setup he described. It's fascinating. The U.S. Air Force handled outer security, but the aliens themselves, they maintained the inner perimeter.
Treating it like their own sovereign territory, essentially, an alien embassy on Earth, as he put it.
And this is where it gets really unique, isn't it? Hall wasn't just assigned there randomly.
No, he claims a Joint Committee U.S. general and aliens selected him, the sole permanent observer for that range.
Can you imagine getting top secret orders like that? Free access, alone, into this zone, but with this chilling warning: anyone with you might be shot.
It's unbelievable. And even weirder, his own command structure, they couldn't meet him on base if there was an emergency.
No. They had to get debriefed by a neurosurgeon after any off-base interaction with him. It's bizarre.
And his orders apparently stated that nothing he experienced would ever be classified, complete freedom to tell his story or not.
Which is almost unheard of for anything labeled top secret, right? It suggests something very deliberate.
It really does. Almost like a formal diplomatic arrangement, not just some hidden rogue thing.
So his daily routine, it involved these 4:30 a.m. runs, starting generators, releasing weather balloons.
And apparently the tall white children loved the balloons, found them really entertaining.
But he got zero briefing from the Air Force. None from the aliens either. He had to figure it all out himself.
Which must have been utterly terrifying, especially with those stakes.
Oh, absolutely. He admitted it took him over 6 months just to overcome the initial terror, even though he eventually felt they meant him no harm.
He described them as quite friendly, but also really individualistic, like people in New York City, was his analogy.
Yeah, some became like close friends. He gave them nicknames like tour guide and teacher. But others, like General Ghali, he found genuinely frightening.
And the physical description he gives, it's incredibly detailed, paints a very distinct picture.
Humanoid, paper white skin, tall, like 5'11" to 6 feet, same height as him.
But those eyes, large blue, twice the size of human eyes, he said, with white pupils that turned pink as they aged, and they stretched further around the head.
Right, ears and noses smaller than ours, ears kind of laid back, less prominent lips, no teeth, just ridges, plant eaters.
And very little hair, right? Transparent, platinum blonde, no arm hair, no beards on the males.
But despite being tall, their physiology was surprisingly frail compared to us.
That's what he found, yeah. Bones about half the size of human bones. Thongs shorter, but fingers longer, more flexible.
And get this, a full-grown, tall white, 6 feet tall, might only weigh 90 to 110 pounds.
So fragile. And their healing rate, that's startling. A simple cut could take weeks to mend.
Weeks. And a broken leg. 5 Earth years, he estimated. It's such a stark contrast to how advanced they supposedly were.
But their nervous system, interestingly, runs maybe 2 or 3 times faster than ours. So incredibly intelligent.
But also easy to surprise because they focus so intensely on just one thing. Not multitaskers like us.
And their lifespan, too, it just defies our understanding. Living around 10 times longer than humans, almost 700 years.
And instead of just getting old like we do, they have these multiple growth periods after they hit, like, the equivalent of 40 human years old.
Which for them is around 400 years old, right? And during these periods, they grow even taller.
Yeah, like 8.5 feet tall. But their internal organs don't keep up, don't grow proportionally.
Leading to more fragility and eventually, well, death. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are these trade-offs for living so long?
It's just a profoundly different way of experiencing life itself. So, shifting to their social structure, they traveled in these tightly knit family groups, men, women, children.
And the women, he noted, were fiercely proud of their kids, often asking him if he understood they loved their children even more than human women did.
Yeah, like they needed reassurance on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so protective, touching a child. Suicide Hall called it, like female gorillas.
Their family ties were incredibly intricate, identifying relatives way out, really strong bonds.
And their behavior had quirks too. Despite being super intelligent, they could get bored out of their gourd stuck on the base.
Which is kind of humanizing in a weird way. And they had a dry sense of humor, appreciated jokes.
Apparently so. And the young women were interested in human fashion. Sears catalogs, specifically.
Asking him for opinions on their new dresses, that's unexpected.
Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so beyond biology and culture,
Yeah.
what about their technology, the ships?
Right, the deep spacecraft. Hall said they arrived and left like clockwork. Usually sundown on a full moon, stay 2 weeks, leave midnight on the new moon.
Titanium black, gravity-powered, refueled and repaired right there at the base, carrying new arrivals, many who'd never even seen a human.
And alongside those massive ships, they had smaller scout craft.
And these were built, surprisingly, with U.S. Air Force materials, ordinary American parts.
Yeah, with markings from Lockheed, Boeing, even Airstream trailers, he claimed, suggesting they were built right here.
Wow. And he had his own theory on how they work, right? Photon theory?
Using fiber optics, subatomic particles for anti-gravity levitation, basically some super advanced propulsion we don't grasp.
Incredibly fast, too. 0 to 8,000 miles per hour, boom. Protected by outer coils from acceleration radiation.
But those coils could overheat, needed recharging, so not perfect tech.
Which implies it wasn't just them being there, it was an active tech exchange with the USAF.
Hall called it a negotiation. Both sides got something out of it. The tall whites shared tech that helped them, like better radios for ordering parts.
But they drew a line. No faster than light travel secrets.
Explicitly because they didn't want humans with nukes heading for their home planet. Makes sense from their perspective.
And Hall himself flew on the scout craft, though never the big ones.
Yeah, and he said it was common to see U.S. generals flying with their tall white counterparts. He was even used sometimes as a sort of test subject.
A test guinea pig, yeah. For new arrivals to practice interacting with a human, and to see how humans might react to their craft designs for future exchanges.
Which brings us to a rather chilling aspect. Their abilities, their weapons.
These things that look like white pencils. Square cross-section. About 6 inches long for younger adults, longer, maybe more powerful for older ones.
Operating like a microwave laser, he thought, but with different, alarmingly precise settings.
The specifics are just unsettling. A sodium setting causing electric shock pain, potentially lethal.
He mentioned that CIA guard who was almost killed just for touching one.
Then a calcium setting for calming or inducing sleep. And the hypnotism setting.
Causing missing time. Hall himself described losing 20 minutes between steps, basically. Used by one tall white to give newcomers a tour of a human undetected.
And finally, the iodine setting. Affecting iodine in the blood, causing internal bleeding, death in minutes. That level of biological targeting, it's profoundly disturbing.
Yeah. And from their perspective, Earth was apparently a cold, desolate wilderness. That's what the teacher told Hall.
But what they found unique about us wasn't our tech or art. It was our relationship with animals.
Our willingness to do things with animals, even dangerous ones, trying to understand how they think milking cows, riding horses, keeping dogs as pets.
They observed that on most planets with intelligent life, the dominant species killed off the less intelligent animals.
Which is a really profound, unexpected insight into maybe what makes humanity different, challenges how we even see ourselves.
Paul himself really reflected on all this, that shock, he said, of realizing Einstein was wrong and that, well, God created life on a whole bunch of different planets.
And he criticized physicists for thinking inside the box, sticking rigidly to Einstein. While he thought, surprisingly, that religious leaders were actually more open to the idea of ET life.
He really stressed, putting aside the baggage of Hollywood, all the unrealistic alien stuff. These tall whites weren't magical, no time travel or other dimensions.
Just a far more advanced but still physical civilization.
So if Charles Hall's experiences show us this, strangely formal side of alien contact, and our next deep dive, it goes somewhere much darker, more unsettling.
Yeah, we're shifting into the alleged encounters with reptilians. And here, the whole narrative changed. It's not official observation anymore, it's covert, possibly insidious.
There's a suggestion that a worrying percentage of missing person reports might actually link back to alien abductions.
A subject so taboo, right, that most people are programmed just to dismiss it outright.
This idea of preconceived idea belief being a prison cell for people. It's powerful.
The sources suggest our own ego, societal programming, being conditioned to hate and fear this subject. It actively stops us seeing a maybe darker truth.
Even the negative view of snakes in Judeo-Christian mythology gets mentioned as contributing to this disbelief. But is it just ego? Or is there a real psychological block against things that just defy reality as we know it?
How do you even start to dismantle that prison cell?
The descriptions of these reptilians, they're vivid, often terrifying. Tall, up to 8 feet, strong build, green or yellowish brown skin.
Orange slit eyes, scales, ridges, tails, some even described as Draco reptilians with horns and wings.
And interactions reportedly trigger this instinctive fear, negative energy, even physical paralysis.
They apparently cannot appear as they look to humans at first. They have to enter the human mind to change their appearance, a disguise.
And the abduction experiences often seem to run in families. There's maybe a genetic aspect to their interest in us.
People like Ellis Taylor describing waking up with weird marks, shaved patches. Their whole family's affected sometimes.
And flashbacks, right, to childhood encounters, maybe with grays.
Yeah.
Those beings with huge heads.
That constant agonizing question, why me? Researchers like Dr. John Mack looked into this, concluding these were real encounters, not just psychological issues.
Which raises this mind-bending possibility about existence itself. Some contactees claiming to remember past lives as a reptilian.
Or experiencing multidimensional simultaneous existence, living parallel lives as reptilians, explaining these deep connections.
Dreams being a way consciousness might move between these lives, perhaps, giving glimpses.
It opens up huge questions, and the spectrum of reactions in these accounts is just incredibly diverse.
Yeah, while many are absolutely terrified, maybe 25–30% traumatized, others feel these beings are like family.
Identifying as star seeds or star kids, believing they're hyperids, part human, part reptilian.
Or that their soul comes from a mantid, an insect-like being, or even felines.
There was that story of the 8-year-old boy who thought his ancestral family was mantid, describing how he'd evaporate into his mantid form on spacecraft, then come back.
It's just a vast range of perceived connections. It really is.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture claims, it suggests this profound level of control, influence.
This reptile race, the accounts say, manipulates humanity and has done for thousands of years.
Having a supposed covenant with the elite humans who run the world to stay hidden, they can't create an Orwellian society themselves.
But they can manipulate us to do it through influence. Subtle guidance.
And this manipulation supposedly works on this weird principle, the karmic hook.
The idea that they have to let us know what they're doing, even subtly beforehand.
Yeah, and if we don't believe it or act on it, then from their view, they're sort of off the karmic hook, like warning you they'll burgle your house before they do it.
It's a chilling take on free will. There are even claims linking Dr. Mengelé's Nazi-era work to try to stop aliens gaining mind control.
And some people with long-term contact claim they have agreements where the beings are not permitted to deceive me.
What's fascinating here is how this alleged influence is said to play out in our culture, in media.
Reptilian symbols are everywhere in ancient traditions, right? Sumerian, Mayan carvings.
Yeah.
Some argue these aren't metaphors, but literal descriptions.
And then there's this claim of an active ban on depicting reptilians in modern media. TV producers refusing to show drawings.
Don't mention the reptiles, supposedly a known protocol because they manipulate humanity. Greys, mantids, apparently not an issue to show.
Which leads to this idea of Hollywood as a potential tool.
Major films pushing an ideal, acting like focus groups to test reactions, or maybe prepare people to accept what's coming. An Orwellian society.
The examples cited are pretty wide-ranging. Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, some even whisper it was a leak that got him killed. Rosemary's Baby with a reptilian infant.
John Carpenter's stuff, they live. The Thing, non-humans in power, subliminal messages.
Even films you wouldn't expect, like Super Mario Bros. Alternate Dimension, Reptilian Shapeshifters, Land of the Lost Pocket Universe, Underground Reptilian.
An Ender's Game with insectoid ETs, Thundercats with feline heroes fighting reptilians, and the original TV series V.
Human-looking aliens, secretly reptilians, taking over politics, media, led by women resistance fighters. It all gets woven into this narrative.
And this idea of media orchestration goes way back. Orson Welles' 1938 War of the Worlds broadcast.
Cited as an early example, a kind of focus group to gauge public reaction, create panic, maybe justify keeping things secret, testing the waters.
So from these huge narratives of hidden influence, let's bring it back down to one specific visceral human experience that really shook up ufology.
Travis Walton's abduction, 1975.
Right, he describes it as an impulsive decision, getting out of the truck, approaching the craft.
Feeling that weird feeling in the air, electric, magnetic maybe, and that intense sound. Lows felt, highs inside his head, a vibration.
And as he got close, this discharge that hit him, injured him, led to the abduction. Such a specific, terrifying moment.
And his time on the craft just amplified that disorientation. Waking up in pain, suffocating, seeing these things. Definitely not human.
He remembered a room with moving points of light against a dark background. A star map, a view outside he didn't know.
And a control panel with just black lines that changed angle. No symbols, no numbers. Utterly baffling.
And the return, waking up on a road, finding a working phone booth. That detail is so specific, the booth is practically a landmark now.
His brother kept him isolated afterwards, protecting him from weird, sinister calls. Someone claiming to be CIA. A nurse warning about hospital patients disappearing after similar experiences, records wiped.
That denial from authorities, the isolation, it forced him into this deep struggle with reality testing. The trauma, he says, it never completely left me.
But in his reflections, Walton is remarkably careful. He doesn't like to interpret too much, project his own ideas.
Prefers to leave it open to analysis later, feeling the information is just too incomplete.
He doesn't feel chosen for some grand mission, but he does feel an obligation to share what happened, despite the dear price, the flack, the prejudice.
He said he gained real insight into human nature from it all. How people reject evidence they don't want to accept, the gap between experts and actual inside information.
And he ended up advocating for clear guidelines for UFO investigations, for evaluating cases properly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try and connect these extraordinary accounts back to you, our listener.
What really stands out is the contrast, isn't it? Charles Hall's almost formal, military-approved interaction with the tall whites, advanced but fragile.
And then you have the terrifying, covert, manipulative encounters described with reptilians. So different in nature, in intent.
Yet both narratives just fundamentally challenge our conventional reality, force us to question what we think we know.
And across all these stories, there's that consistent theme, the profound impact on human perception, on belief systems, the psychological struggle to integrate something so radical.
Yeah, from pure terror like Travis Walton felt, to that deep, almost familial connection some contactees describe with these other beings. Human reactions are all over the map.
Which leads us to think about that idea of an unseen hand. Entities may be seeking to stay hidden, subtly influencing society through programming, media, even direct deals with powerful people.
What does that mean for our world if certain leaders, or the narratives we live by, are partly influenced by non-human agendas? It just shifts everything about power and control.
These accounts really compel us, I think, to reconsider the boundaries of knowledge, to look beyond the standard narratives, the media portrayals.
What responsibility do we have as individuals to seek out information, evaluate it critically, even when it seems unbelievable or it goes against everything we've been taught.
It's about trying to discern truth in a world that might be far, far stranger than we generally imagine.
So we've journeyed through Hall's encounters with the tall whites, delved into the shadowy world of reptilian influence and abduction, and touched on Travis Walton's disorienting experience.
These stories weave through personal testimony, technology, control, culture, a really complex tapestry of alleged interactions.
So, as we navigate this world just awash with information, here's a final thought. What if the most significant truths about our past, maybe our future, are hidden in plain sight?
Encoded in our stories, our myths, our media, the fabric of human experience itself.
What if understanding these hidden interactions is actually the key to unlocking our collective future? And what steps will you take to explore these possibilities further?
M5D UFO Files. Unraveling the UFO Files. Revelations that change everything. M5D True Dark Files exposes hidden secrets that governments hide from humanity.